time to open up your eyes, 'cause we were made to fly. We can do anything. We'll shine like the sun, the moon, the stars. We can go anywhere. They'll see us no matter where we are. 'Cause we got the fire. We got the fire. Show the world the impossible is possible. Show the world the impossible is possible. There's a moment when you understand. You don't gotta follow all the plans. It's time to open up your hands.
All right. It's another day with Coffee Talk with Trey. Thank you for joining us for our February 2021 Coffee Talk with Trey. And I'm your host, Leroy Trey Hutchins. I am the Board of Education member representing Post 3 with the Cobb County School District Board of Education. And so thank you for joining us. As promised, after every meeting, every Board of Education meeting, that following day, that Friday, we will join you with Coffee Talk, and we will discuss some of those things that happen within our meeting and the things that are happening within our Cobb County educational community. So thank you for joining us. But today, I am really excited. I don't know if any of you saw the notification, but we have a special co-host today, and she's a newbie to the live situation. So y'all be gentle, but let's break her in, okay? Because we need to hear from so everybody, let me introduce my co-host, Miss Sharice Toomer Davis, Board of Education member, Post 6. Come on. She joined the board 2019. And let me just tell you something. She is the lady of the board. So come on. Let's everybody welcome Sharice. Welcome.
Thank you. So happy to be here. Thank you, Trey.
Who you are, what you do, and all these things, and your family. And
so I'm Sharice Davis. I'm on the Cobb County School Board representing Post 6. Post 6 is a lot of East Cobb, so Walton Wheeler High Schools, and then trickles down to Smyrna Vinings area where Teasley and Argyle are in Post 6. And I have two sons. The Smyrna Vinings area is actually where I live. And one of my sons is attending Osborne, and he's in the CETA program there, Cobb Innovation and Technology Academy.
oh,
And then my youngest is finishing up at Teasley and will be attending middle school next year. So I was a teacher for a long time, as many of you know, and a media specialist and librarian. And so I'm just excited to be here. I'm excited to have Trey on the board. And yeah, let's talk about some stuff.
all right. So Sharice, the fans are here. They're saying welcome. They're saying good morning, Miss Larissa James. She's my right arm here in South Cobb. So welcome is from Larissa. Thank you, Larissa, for joining. Miss Unita Nicholas, she's out in the Powder Springs area, a very good friend of mine as well. She said good morning. And of course, our always favorite Miss Valerie Tessman says welcome. And my buddy Nate Smith. Big welcome to you, Sharice. All right. So thank you guys. As always, please put your comments and questions and things into the chat, so that if we get an opportunity, we will attempt to do our best to engage you as much as possible. But we have a lot going on today, so I don't want to, I want to make sure I get you, but I also don't want to miss some of this important high level. That's my new word, by the way. Stuff that that we need to discuss today. But before we get started, happy Black History Month. Happy Black History Month. Happy Black History Month. And for those of you that know, every day is Black History Month, but this is the month that we celebrate or intentionally celebrate. So before I get into our Black History Month presentation, I want to make sure I just kind of highlight some of the things that our schools are doing. Our superintendent mentioned some of them in the board meeting yesterday, so I want to make sure I also mention some of them. At Bryant Elementary, where my son goes, yay, on the 25th, we're having a virtual Black History program, and we have a special guest speaker. And, you know, Dr. Klein has not told me who that special guest is, so I feel some kind of way about that. But nevertheless, I'm tuning in. I'm going to be excited, and I'm going to be a part. So I'm excited about that. TAP Middle School in Powder Springs is having a virtual program as well on Wednesday, February the 24th. And so I'm excited about that. I'll be tuning in. TAP Middle School. Thank you, Dr. Thomas, on that end. And South Cobb High School is having a Spirit Week. So I'm going to do my best to post and take my pictures and hashtag and make sure I'm a part of the Spirit Week for that week. But the most important thing that I want to get is, what is your school doing? Let us know what your school is doing. Sharice, what you got going on? Do you know? They doing anything?
I'll say, you know, one thing is that when an elementary school in particular, you know, just with everything going on, when the staff is not able to put on the kind of programming that parents may want to see, the students may want to see, like there's an opportunity for parents to get involved and even help the school out by taking that over and essentially or helping, you know, assist in getting some good programming going. So that's actually something that's happened with the committee that's at Teasley. And so I actually was able to do a video, but they had students singing Lift Every Voice and Sing, and some special guest speakers sharing the history, their history of being Black, particularly in Smyrna, where there's some history there, right? Some different history. And then, you know, I made some points that Black history is American history, and history is still in the making. It's not something that happened a long time ago. It is still happening. So I hope that resonated with our young people.
Well, it resonates with me because history is in the making. We just had our first African American what we call it. Lord have mercy. I would say if you got a little piece of Black, you Black. But I guess we're embracing everything in who we are. But we have our first Black vice president, and so we're excited. Female Black vice president. I have to make sure I include all that because we need to be clear in that, and that's exciting. But you mentioned that they sang "Lift Every Voice and Sing." That's our national Black anthem let's educate at the same time.
Yes.
Mr. Weldon Johnson created that. It was started off as a poem, but now it's a song. So that's a good segue. We're actually going to take a moment, and enjoy Kirk Franklin, "Lift Every Voice and Sing."
I like this part right here. Come on. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the on. Till victory is won. Now we add a little something to it, just to encourage you. We're gonna take you to church later. Let's go. We'll keep marching right until the victory is won. To all my brothers out there, hold your head up, brother, till the victory is won. To all my sisters in the struggle. Keep believing, sister, till the victory is won. Till that day. Till that day comes. Hey. Let us march on to victory. Till victory is won.
Okay, let the church say amen. Let the church say amen. So I wanted to make sure I do that. Now, listen, because it's Black History Month, I want to make sure that I get some shout outs and some people who have really made an impact here, particularly here in South Cobb. So first person is Dr. Doris Billups McClure. Everyone knows that I love me some Dr. Billups McClure. She opened Riverside Elementary and Riverside Primary, and she's been in our community serving as a principal of our elementary schools for over 31 years and recently retired last year in June. So over 3 decades of service to our community. And she's one of the first African-American principals assigned to our area. And she has seen several generations of our students and our families and come through Riverside Elementary. And so I want to honor Mother Billups, who lives in the Mableton-Austell community, and for her service to the South Cobb community with such wisdom, grace, and elegance. And for those of you that have had the experience of meeting Mother Billups, you're not going to find a classier, more professional young woman. Young woman in this world. So I love her. I appreciate her for her service. And so thank you, Dr. Billups. We honor you today, Black History Month. I also want to take a moment to honor, and this is a little history lesson, Miss Virginia Gale Ward. So for those of you that don't know, there is the Ward family, who I like to call them the pioneers of Cobb County. They're one of the first Black families here in Cobb County who are landowners. And they came to Cobb County from Northwest Atlanta it's been years now, before the 70s. And so they have made an impact in our community for years. But Miss Virginia Ward was the first person to integrate Pebblebrook High School in 1970. And please Google her so that you can read her story of how her family came to Cobb County and how she integrated Pebblebrook. Her sister, Miss Suzanne Henry, some of you may know her. She used to be the clerk at Pebblebrook High School. She's the first to integrate Harmony Leland Elementary School. And so please help me honor the Ward family. Again, they are pioneers in our community. And when I'm talking about the Ward family, because they've been here for generations, I had the privilege of attending school. And I think I graduated a year before one of their family members. He's like the son of one of the older sisters, Dr. Stephen Culver. He is a Pebblebrook alumni. He was our first Black drum major. And this was in like 1993. I remember that year so much because I worked with the band that year, and they did Motown, and I was just blown away because this was a new experience for those of us in Cobb County. And so he helped bring in what we now know as the Mighty Marching at Pebblebrook High School. And so I want to honor him. And he is a resident. He still lives in our community. Not only that, he's an educator with the Cobb County School District. For those of you that are in this area, you'll find him at Floyd Middle School, servicing and helping our young people. He has serviced majority of our schools here in South Cobb with his expertise and his love for our special needs students and making sure that they are successful in their classrooms. And so Steve Culver, in addition to Miss Virginia Gale Ward, we honor you for Black History Month. And of course, Miss Suzanne Henry, we love you and we honor you as well, who served Pebblebrook High School for many years. And, Miss Sheila Sands, I don't want to forget Miss Sheila Sands. She's Stephen Culver's sister, or I should say that Stephen Culver is her brother because she's older. She's still teaching. She's teaching at Bryant Elementary right now. So, and she's a special education teacher there. And so Sheila, we appreciate you and your whole family. Krista Culver, all of the Culvers, the Caters, the Sands, the Henrys, we love you. We appreciate you. And all this comes from the bloodline of the Ward. So, and they are still in our community, still giving back to our community, still educating in our community. So we love them. So
Trey, can we just talk about how recent that all was? You're talking about
1970.
70s.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
know, we're about the same age. So
Mhm.
thinking about just, years, several years, I mean, 7 to 10 years after or before we were born,
Yeah.
people were just now integrating schools in our area. I mean, I think it's one thing to know the history. It's another to put it
Yeah.
in perspective. I know something that a lot of people are just now opening up to or realizing is that Ruby Bridges is
Yeah.
a young woman. She is 66 years old. And our kids learn about her and think that, this is something that happened like, 100 years
Yeah.
ago. So it's just
Listen,
amazing.
let's learn our Black history. That is really close to us because we all know about Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks because that's probably the extent of the history that we're taught. But please learn
Yeah.
even what's happened locally and those people that have made an impact to get you to where you are, so that we can live this
Yeah.
comfortable. I'm gonna call it comfortable, semi-comfortable life that we currently live in. So,
So
um,
can I give
yeah,
one
go
more
ahead.
shout out?
Yeah,
Because look, this is something I had to learn. I had to do my research. I had to put on my librarian hat and go back to the AJC
yes,
because the first Black member of the Cobb County School Board was Miss Peggy Lawson back in 1992. And so you brought
yes,
up 93. I mean, that was happening all at this around the same time, and she represented an area that lined up with what Mr. Banks's current district. Even though it would have been a little bit different, I guess, at the time, but she was the first. And then, of course, Mr. Morgan came on. And then we're rounding out the last three here. not to be the last, not for sure.
no, we're the first of many, but around that same time frame, I call him Doc Holliday.
Mm-hmm.
He was the first African American principal at Wheeler High School, and he made a big impact in that community. And I grew up in the Wildcat feeder pattern. I went to Brumby Elementary in East Cobb, and then we built a house in South Cobb, so I ended up becoming a Falcon. But I have much love for my Wildcat family, and I'm gonna call it the Wildcat family, and I'm gonna stay right there for a while. But so, but I love them and Doc Holliday and all those that have been pioneers to help us to where we get to today. So, all right, let's transition to some meeting notes.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, yesterday was a big day. And so we're just going to give some high level. That's my new word. I'm using it. It's a high level meeting note in regards to what happened. And so let's talk about first the SPLOST 6 notebook, Sharice, because I know that's one of your items.
So, I mean, we know now that the SPLOST vote will happen in November of 2021. There's a lot of information that will be coming out before then because we are one of the few, if not only, counties, based on what has been mentioned at the meetings, that actually creates a notebook that lists out all of the projects that will happen before voters actually go and vote on SPLOST, on whether or not SPLOST will pass in their county. So that notebook, there'll be a calendar of dates that will go into creating that notebook. And one thing that happens is that they're gathering lists from schools, and they were adamant it's not a wish list, but very much a needs list of what schools are going to need and they need SPLOST funding for. So I would say look out for that. I mean, this will be my first, certainly Trey's first SPLOST process that we will have been here for. So definitely looking forward to it. But we need SPLOST. I mean, one thing that comes up is, oh, if you don't do this or that, like, people won't vote for SPLOST. Well, SPLOST passes overwhelmingly. So don't let people, try to fear monger you into thinking that, oh, you just won't get SPLOST. Like, no, SPLOST passes. It passes everywhere. I think there might be one district in the whole state that actually hasn't even asked for SPLOST because people just know, like, I'd rather put this penny tax in through the sales tax than see my property tax go up or whatever else. So yeah, it's been a good thing for us, and we've gotten a lot of projects. And of course, it's never enough for the amount of needs that we have, but it's a necessary start for sure.
Yes. So Larissa says, what are the collection dates for SPLOST 6? And Larissa, I don't think that information has been released as of yet. The superintendent mentioned it yesterday in his report. So we will see those dates and that timeline come out very shortly.
I think 5 goes through the 22 though. If
Yes.
I'm not, don't
Yes,
hold
it
me
does.
to that.
Yep, it does. It goes to 20, and this will be for
They just
23. So
roll. Yeah.
yep.
5 years.
And
Yeah.
we're voting this November for this. So when we're talking about the end of the summer, November, we'll be voting for this initiative. And I want to say this for South Cobb, we historically have not voted very well for the approval of SPLOS for SPLOS 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, SPLOS 5, we overwhelmingly came out and supported it, mainly because at this particular point in time, after the rest of the district has received what they needed through SPLOS, it was time to address some of the needs here in South Cobb. And so Pebblebrook High School has received several projects. We got the new Clay Harmony Leland out of that project. And so we have a lot of projects that came out of SPLOS 5. But we have more work to do. In particular, there's a school I have in Post 3, Tap Middle School in Powder Springs. I'm telling you, that school needs some work. And so we're hoping through this effort, we'll do that. Speaking of SPLOS, the Facilities and Technology Citizen Oversight Committee, which oversees the SPLOS projects for our education SPLOS, are our community representatives to assist us with ensuring that we're spending the money properly, that we're doing what we need to do. And they're like the eyes and ears of this organization. And so I made 2 appointments on yesterday. Ms. Jackie Mumphrey, many of you know her. She's one of our real estate experts here in the Mableton area. And Ms. Uriel Hemmerly. Listen, go to Facebook and find these people and request their friend and bring them to your meetings, because they're going to have up-to-date information on that type of information, on what's happening with SPLOS and all that kind of stuff. Now, Nate, here you go. What's the best way for the community to influence your priority of SPLOS, of projects in SPLOS? Nate, you're making me jump ahead, because you know we have a call to action every month. My call to action is always the same. Please get involved with your principal advisory council. Find out when the meetings are. Find out how you can be a part of the school councils, principal advisory council, whatever terminology we're using at the moment. Find out and get involved, because these are initiatives that come directly from our school leaders. And so we want to make sure that we are advocating with them and that we are part of that process of determining how we move forward for the long term, because these projects are going to take 5, 6, 7 years before they even come out the box. So we want to make sure that we have forward vision. And most of our leaders, our principal leaders, are only with us in our communities for 4 to 5 years. So what we do now actually will probably outlive them in our community. So we want to make sure we're at the table so we can help our community voice be heard for the long term, which may oftentimes, and it's not always, but oftentimes outlive the leadership of this present time. So let's do that as a way in which we can do that. Also engage, again, our new facilities and technologies persons. And we're going to have a town hall, Nate, so we'll probably get together soon where we can bring these people in and introduce them to our community, so that we can get some best practices, and also, again, how we can engage our community on SPLOS and making sure that we're represented in the SPLOS notebook. Sharice, you want to add anything?
No, just what you said is that's the deal. Like, we need parents to engage with the schools, and then the schools are going to engage with the district. And so, and of course, you are engaged already with your board members. But it's all about advocating, and schools are in a position to advocate for themselves and what they need. And sometimes it's the stuff that we don't necessarily see, right? Like, there's things they know in terms of maintenance and needs that the school has that we may not see. So I'm hopeful about it. I think we'll get some good work done in this next round.
And did you have new appointments to F&T committee, or?
No, my 2, Michael Green and Alonzo Ford, are sticking with me. I always do check-ins with them, make sure they're okay. And so we appreciate anyone giving their time and talent to our school district, through their service. So both F&T and the foundation, is another opportunity. So yes, thank you all. I mean, it's it takes all of us. So
I love your appointees. When I used to serve on the F&T committee, I would love to see them walk in the room, come like, yes. And they're definitely engaged, and they're passionate. And so, it's exciting to have them at the table. And so, guys, when you see my ladies come in the room, welcome them, wrap them with your love, and and help bring them into the culture of the F&T family. Miss Theo Powell and the rest of you guys, and John Crooks and Jay and John Loud and Jay Cunningham and John Loud. Just embrace the family. New family members are coming soon. So so that's that. We'll talk about F&T a little later and go into more details. Also came out our annual demographic enrollment projection study. So I'm holding it up. We're going to have a town hall in regards to this too, after some of our community leaders, MIC, ACT, and Powder Springs Community Task Force, we get together and go through this demographic study to discuss the future of our county as far as the demographics for this year in the enrollment and how the growth is in our area. That's going to help us with the SPLOST conversation as well. So I want to make sure we have all this information together. But Dr. Howard actually posted the pictures and the, most of the study online. He posted it to his Facebook page, so you can see it there. You reach out to me, I'm going to actually put it in PDF format, but I'm sure that the district has already posted it somewhere so that we can start looking at that. This is the same thing for you, Jackie and Miss Uriel. We're going to go through this stuff and, really make sure that we are doing what we need to do for our community. But it is out. There's no surprises other than we need to really look at how we can better plan for our district for the long term, because we do have schools that are operating at 70, 60, and 50% occupancy. And so we need to really adjust some of those things. And with that means sometimes consolidation, which we just went through that with Clay and Harmony Leland combining into one school. But then there's also redistricting. And I know a lot of people don't like to talk about it. Now, we're fine here in South Cobb. We'll talk about redistricting all day. But so other parts of the county are not really excited about redistricting. But when you have Pebblebrook High School that is grossly over capacity, like 500, 600, 700 students over capacity, and neighboring South Cobb High School, which is a mile and a half away, which is 200 kids under capacity, for us, it only makes sense because the Eagles and the Falcons is all love until it comes to football and basketball. But for the most part, we're one community. And so if we can create a safer environment for our children, we're all for that. But we'll discuss it. And we'll create an advisement and we'll move forward with how we can help our district better plan for us in the long term. All right. I want to talk about Cobb Tank. I don't know if you guys know what Cobb Tank is, but it's like Shark Tank, but it's Cobb's version of the Shark Tank. And out of that, $82,000 was awarded to several schools around the area. I want to highlight Clay Harmony Leland, Powder Springs Elementary, and our new school, South Cobb Early Learning Center, for participating, not just participating, but they were also winners. So they received some funds for different projects around their schools. And so we're excited about that. The one that I want to talk about in particular is the South Cobb Early Learning Center with Miss Snow. She's doing a fabulous job. I've had the opportunity to donate some books not too long ago and see the involvement with our Kiwanis of South Cobb and Kiwanis of Marietta and how we're supporting the South Cobb Early Learning Center. And they have 10 special needs, pre-K rooms there where they're servicing our children all the way from Hendricks Elementary to Nickajack. So all of the South Cobb area schools are being serviced through the Early Learning Center, through their pre-K center with our special needs students. And they also have one decal, lottery funded pre-K center. And so my vision is hopefully that program will be expanded where we have more than just one decal room. But please know the lottery funded, they give you a certain number of allotments. So it's not like we can just say we want 10 rooms and it won't get funded for 10 rooms unless the Cobb County School District funds 10 rooms. So let me put that out there. But I think that early learning should be a priority in our district because we're trying to make sure our children can read on grade level by 3rd grade. We've been talking about that for years. And I think this is one of those initiatives that helps us to get there. But the South Cobb Early Learning Center is only the first of many. So I want to support that. But what Ms. Snow did, she put a presentation together, her and her team, and they requested from Cobb Tank some money. I believe it was $10,000. I don't quote me. It was some money to create a sensory experience room for our students. And when I saw the presentation, I was like, yo, this is going to be good for the development of our young scholars. And so I was excited to see that. And so again, maybe this is something that we see what they're doing. And then when it moves up into the Smyrna area, East Cobb area, because I believe we have another one that's scheduled to come, we can do that. What do you think, Sharice?
I mean, early learning is near and dear to my heart. I was a kindergarten teacher for a very long time. Even when I was campaigning, I was like, hey, we need early learning options. We need pre-K programs. And, in looking at other counties, I worked in Fulton County for some time. There's 80 something Georgia pre-K programs in those schools. And so, you know, we had some work to do. And so I was very excited when the superintendent announced in the meeting that we had been applying for and we're expecting to get some number of Georgia pre-K programs to create this early learning center with our special needs pre-K and just having these just schools that were dedicated to our youngest learners. Unfortunately, I think for budgetary reasons, we weren't able to expand that Georgia pre-K program like we wanted to. But I'm hoping that it's a hiccup and a long-term plan for us to get more and more of those programs in place because it's just needed. And the earlier that we can get our students in, which they will show up. It's not always, it's a tough sell, I think, even for our early K programs. But this is different, and allows parents to do what they need to do. It's a much larger issue around childcare and also like reaching kids in that developmental age of 0 to 5. This is something that will help us long term. We'll see the benefits in third grade. We will. So I'm hoping again that this is going to expand hopefully in the not too distant future. But it's a start. We have the center in place and we're ready for the classrooms. But yeah, to me, there's nothing more important right now than our early learners.
I couldn't agree with you more. Let me see if I can put this on here. The superintendent talked about virtual school next year. But before we get to that, let's talk about this third choice portal has just opened up. So as you know, we have an option right now. You can choose from face-to-face or you can choose from the virtual school option. And right now we have our third choice to end the rest of the school year. You can make your choice. What do you want? How do you want your kids to be educated for the rest of the school year? That portal opens up Monday. The first day of our fall break opens up Monday, and through the 28th, the end of the month, you'll be able to let your school and your school district know what your choice is for that. Please take advantage of that. It helps our educators to plan, our principals to plan on how to best support you and ensure the safety of our students during the COVID-19 timeframe. So please make sure that you reach out and so that we can have enough resources in the buildings for our schools.
All right.
Let's see what else we have. There was so much going on in this meeting yesterday. And look, and it's funny because that's where I get all my information from, the board meeting. So that's why I want to make sure that I'm sharing it because that's what we hear about most of this stuff.
Yeah.
All right. So I do know we had a ton of people in public comment.
We
thank each and every one of you for coming and speaking on behalf of, the constituency here in Cobb County. And so I love that everyone knows that part of my call to action is one of them is coming to speak to the board and letting us know what your thoughts are, share your concerns, even when we're doing good, you let us know. And that is a great way for us to know that. So please continue to use public comment. We had in our early morning session, in our work session, we had 4 speakers. And it was interesting because, Sharice, this was the first time that I had ever heard of the Watching the Funds Cobb. Apparently is a newly formed group here in Cobb County, and they are watching how we, the Cobb County School District, spend our funds in Cobb. And so, as Dr. Howard would always say, keep us accountable. And so they came and spoke. They had some concerns around Alert Point. As many of you know, Alert Point had a malfunction or something was it last week or the week before last? And nevertheless, it happened. And so, but she had some concerns around that. And I think we just had a recent renewal of that contract. And so she mentioned some of her concerns in regards to that. We also had a parent from Post 5 come, and she was talking about communications to schools and having qualified substitute teachers and things of that nature. She just had some overall concerns that she wanted to address. And so, Ms. Miles, we heard you. I appreciate you coming. Ms. Eloise Standiford, she came and she addressed the board on behalf of the Democratic Party of Georgia Cobb African American Caucus. And this is new. This is a new organization as well here for us in Cobb County. But she came and she spoke in regards to her concerns with governing of our board and how it's currently being governed, and really stressed us working together cohesively as a unit, and not so divisive. And so we appreciate you coming and making your comments in regards to that. And one thing that I like that she put was, we asked you to move past petty grievances to what should be and to what should be our true focus, and that's our students. And that's our heart. Make sure that we are taking care of our kids. And so we appreciate you coming to address the board. And Ms. Bev Jackson, because I believe Ms. Bev Jackson is over the Democratic Party of Georgia Cobb African American Caucus. So we appreciate you guys coming. They actually emailed us a letter. Here's a copy of it, and read that letter in that meeting. And so we appreciate you guys coming. Ms. Ashley came. She said she has some young babies, but she also deals with melanoma. And I'm not sure what it is, but I appreciate her coming because she had some concerns around the UV lights that are in our buildings, and also the aqueous ozone hand washing sink technology as well. And so she came and she expressed that. And so we appreciate you coming during that session. The night session, it was jam packed. We had 15 people, which is the maximum that we can have. And Sharice, I'm gonna pivot to you in a minute and allow you to kind of give us some framework on how public comment works and all that.
Okay.
But Ms. Rhea Atkins, this little beautiful seven-year-old second grader came, and she was just like, I'm done with this digital learning. She was just like, no, it doesn't work for me. And I appreciate hearing from her, because many of her concerns had a lot to do with CTLS. And so as we continue to work to make CTLS better, to address the needs to ensure that digital learning is a quality option for us here in Cobb County, I appreciate the fact that we have taken the necessary steps to make sure that we're always being better and improving that technology. We just had some updates and things. So hopefully through now and when August comes back, we will have some more professional development for our teachers on how they can best use that, and maybe even have teachers singularly teaching either face-to-face, or I don't know what that's going to look like. We're going to all find out together. But these are some of the things that I hope that will help make that educational process easy, and help improve our culture and climate within our school buildings so that our kids can really get the best out of the education. But I appreciate Ms. Rhea and her mother coming to address the board in regards to that. Ms. Tova, she always comes and she wants to talk about our special need kids and supporting them. So we appreciate you coming. Ms. Adrienne Robertson, she talked about safety and humanity. And so one thing she brought out, and I thought it was strong, she says, when she was entering the school district's office, they had to be temperature checked. They had to stand outside and wait to come in. They came in one at a time. There was a lot of safety measures. And she says there was a lot of safety measures for that one meeting. But when it comes to what she's experienced in our schools, they don't have temperature checks and things of that nature. And so she was asking that, again, we follow the CDC guidelines of wearing masks, even when social distancing, but also saying that she wants to see some additional protocols, such as having those tools necessary, like, making sure that we can temperature check our children in the morning and things of that nature. So I appreciate her for that. My good friend, Ms. Zoe Shepherd. Rhonda, I saw you on here just a few moments ago. Your daughter came, of course, because you were there with her. Listen, Rhonda's in this chat going off over here. She came and she spoke to the board, and she talked to us about the Wheeler name change, and we're going to pivot to you in a minute about that too. So you have two items to discuss. Okay. The Wheeler name change. And so she talked very passionately about that. Rhonda says there was a honking protest outside as well. Thank you for expressing your how you feel in regards to this. But Zoe is she's very, let me just say this, she's very smart. She's probably one of the smartest individuals I know. And one of the most talented individuals I know. She's the prima ballerina for me, who is at Wheeler. She lives in Mableton, but she's at Wheeler taking advantage of the STEM education through that magnet program. And so I always enjoy when we can hear from Ms. Shepherd. So thank you, Zoe, in regards to that. Cynthia Stark-Jones, she is the president of the South Cobb Council PTA, and my good friend, and we've served on the council PTA for many, many, many years. And the South Cobb Council PTA decided to make a donation to the Patrick Key scholarship. And so we thank you for that. And then she surprised me that they're going to award me at our next general meeting with a lifetime achievement award. And so I was blown away. I'm humbled. And so I was like, wow. So thank you for that. Megan from Marietta, she came and she had some concerns around reinforcing the CDC guidelines and things of that nature. She also questioned the UV lighting. So we're seeing a trend of community people in regards to some of the technology that we've implemented. So I'll be taking a closer look into that, as well as some of our other colleagues, to see if we are making the best use of our funds. But she came in regards to that. Thank you for that. Miss Kara Harris, I appreciate Miss Kara coming. Miss Kara lives here in Mableton. She's a Mabletonian, and she also teaches at Pebblebrook High School and has done so for many, many years. And so I want to thank you for coming, Miss Kara. Miss Kara always comes. She's a science teacher, so she's bringing us the data. She gave us COVID data, and she gave us the updates, and she was just like, hey, this is what it is. This is what we should do. So I appreciate our educators taking a part in that process as well, because again, this is real world learning, and our kids should be learning a part of this. So I appreciate her coming to do that. Also was another Mabletonian / Pebblebrook High School teacher, Gregory George. I appreciate him. He has been an advocate for our schools and has had children come through our schools and graduate and all that kind of stuff for many years. He has taught at Tapp Middle School as well. And so we appreciate him. His wife teaches at Bryant Elementary. And so they're here. And so he also wanted to address us in regards to third grade reading data. We've talked about it. We talk about it a lot here. Excuse my background, y'all, because I am virtual learning here and my kids don't care nothing about what I'm doing. So you're going to hear chips and all that kind of stuff because it's lunchtime and they don't care. Yeah. So
it's always lunchtime.
That's life. Yeah, it's lunchtime and this don't matter, by the way. So, but he talked about some of his concerns. And so I appreciate you, Mr. George, for coming and letting your voice be heard. He actually requested that as a district, we do more to honor the passing of our 3 educators who have passed in the line, as he said, in the line of duty. He requested that we lower our flags to half staff the rest of the school year. And I appreciate that. And I actually probably put that in writing and to request that, because I think, again, we should do more to make sure that we remember those that have given their lives to the service of our children and their education. And so, and I don't take that for granted. I don't even want to talk about it too much longer, but I don't take that for granted. But I agree, we need to do more. Rosemary Bond, we heard from you and we appreciate you. Support of a safe return to school. Ms. Rosemary Bond is from Educators First. And so she supports a lot of our teachers. And so, yeah, we appreciate you coming, Ms. Rosemary, and speaking. And she said they did a survey and they surveyed a lot of teachers. And let me tell you something. Out of that survey, these are some of the high level things that I received from it. The teachers are exhausted teaching both face-to-face and virtual learning. And so we need to figure that out. Also, our teachers need their lunchtime. They need their planning time because we're burning them out. Also, assist our employees that have like ADA and they need to take family medical leave for different challenges that they may have, that we need to do a better job of assisting them through that process as well, and just do a better job of communicating. And so, you know, that has been something we've talked about for since the beginning, that communication should be, we should over communicate during times like this, because that's what's going to help us as a community. And so I appreciate Ms. Rosemary Bond coming and speaking on behalf of our educators through her office at Educators First. Ashley came and she spoke to us about Protect. Apparently she called Protect's office and spoke with Marshall Eubanks, who is the CEO. He picked up the phone and talked to her. And I believe she's posted her commentary all over Facebook. So you can find it there in the many different pages that are out there for you to find that information. So thank you, Ashley, for coming and sharing your thoughts in regards to that. Stacy, she lives in Post 5. She is also with the group we talked about earlier, Watching the Funds Cobb. And so they had some questions in regards to the UV lights, the Protect UV lights, and also the hand washing sinks and those purchases. Jessica Paige Bergeron, let me explain. She is a good friend of mine. She lives in Post 5. And she's also part of Watching the Funds Cobb. It was good to see you, Jessica. I was like, hey, she came and she spoke to the board yesterday in regards to those same purchases of the UV lights and the hand washing sinks. And so we thank you for holding us accountable, Jessica. Our longtime board speaking person, Ms. Caroline Hoko, came. And it is always a pleasure to enjoy the presentation of Ms. Caroline Hoko. She came to talk about the ITBS testing. and those protocols where the students, even if you're virtual, you have to come into the building to test, because those tests are proctored. And so, she offered some advice and some ways that can assist parents who don't want their children in the building, and how they could, still get those testings tested, and really encouraged us to think outside the box for the safety of our parents. So I would just want to say that. Sonia Sanders, she's a sophomore at Wheeler High School. She came and she talked about the Wheeler name change. And Miss Sydney Tessman, she's a South Cobb High School student. I just put Valerie her thing up, because Valerie, again, is a longtime community advocate and leader here in the South Cobb community. Her daughter, who was at South Cobb High School, came to the board to address them in regards to the Wheeler High School name change, and showing her camaraderie as a student. But as Sydney said yesterday, she says it's not because it's not my school. She says, I'm a resident of Cobb County, and she says this is important to me because of that. And so I appreciate Ms. Tessman and her family, and Ms. Shepherd and her family, because they are helping to train and to build our next community leaders. And so I get excited when I see them coming to speak on behalf of the board. And so thank you, thank you, thank you. You guys will receive something from me very, very shortly to thank you for coming and to continue to be involved. So Sharice, talk about the board meeting and public comment and what that process is, because our chairman gave some I guess some rules and regulations, or some support on how we can do it better or best, or whatever, best practices.
Yeah.
And so we could talk about that. And then also we want to talk about, just give some Wheeler name change that is in your post. So just an overview of what's happening there, and we can go on from there.
Yeah, so before each public comment period, the chair did mention, really serving as a reminder for public commenters to direct their remarks to the board, not any one individual. And it is in our policy that, those in the community who are coming to speak should not reference particular student issues, nor particular staff members, and to include the board, or even the superintendent, I guess. But really, it's like, you don't want to get up there and start naming people. Obviously, the superintendent is the leader of the district. And so we know that. And so oftentimes that will be who you're directing your comments to, but it needs to be Mr. Superintendent and the board, and just making sure that you're doing that so that you don't get interrupted in your little couple of minutes that you have, so that they can remind you not to say anything, because they will do that, and it's just cutting into your time. There were some other comments made about how we cannot engage with those that are making public comment, and I think that was, of course, in reference to being asked to put a mask on in honor of Mr. Key, who passed away from COVID. That's I'm going to say it's up for debate, but really, it's there's another side to that, but that is what we are informing the public, that there is no engagement whatsoever. I think one thing to decipher is between policy and norms, or the kind of the culture of the district, and what we have been doing and what we want to do versus what policy says around that. So while we won't get into a back and forth with you, and I don't know, whatever, it's fine, just come in and
we'll add clarity in the days to come. So thank you guys for your engagement. We want to encourage you to continue to speak to us.
Yeah, and we're going to clap for our especially our kids that come, because they are just the most impressive people, which we should all be proud. And that leads me to Wheeler, where these kids have just taken off, and they're also not okay with just being told no for no sake, and not getting any reasoning behind it. And the thing is, like, we know what it's like being on the board to be told, you feel like you're kind of being strung along, and but they're not going to take that, and so they're just asking questions, and they're feeling like, why can't we just have some just very like respectful and practical conversations, honest, yes, about what we're talking about, and it has been very it's sad, and as the representative for Post 6, like, again, I am filled with pride with what they have done and the passion they are showing, the leadership that they are showing. the research, while they are researching, like doing work that they were asked to do, and now they have no platform for showing the research that they were asked to do by other board members. And so I've been trying to advocate for them while they're also advocating for us, which is that tells you everything you need to know about these kids. They had their own issue, and they came to the board meeting talking about the racial dynamics that they saw on the board, meaning that there are board members who are being silenced by other board members. They were saying that about us. So I can't say enough just how amazing these kids are. And they're not going to just take it and they're not going to take their ball and go home. Like they're not going to stop. And I'm hoping that people will kind of change at some point. But that's a hard thing to wait on. So
Yeah.
I just encourage them to keep coming, keep sharing the information that they have. And they see something wrong, and they're taking the steps, they are doing the work to fix it and to get people into the fold. They're organizing, they're building out that network of people. One thing, having students from all over the county to come and talk about it shows that's just one example of that. So it's us as the adults that have to, we have to do the work, and we have to listen. And one thing I think, these are hard conversations, and it's not a popular idea to think, okay, we're going to rename these things, or we're going to get rid of these Confederate statues. I think it's about the context, right? It's the context of when some of these monuments were erected, when some of these buildings were named. We know that this school was named the same year that Cobb County finally came around to integrating our schools. It is not by accident. They have found language in the yearbook that admits that, which they didn't need to, but so it may not be the popular thing, but it's the right thing. And I think that's really the message. Do you want to be on the wrong or the right side of history?
Yes. Okay, Rhonda, you said, how can we support you? Hey, we'll get to the call to actions, and we'll go through the call to actions, and we'll show you, because again, I believe the constituency voice is the biggest voice that needs to be heard. And so we'll talk about how we can amplify that to come. So we're running short on our time. So let's go ahead and kind of blaze through some of this stuff right quick.
All right.
Valentine's Day. No, it's just good. Valentine's Day is the 14th Sunday. Everybody spread love. This is the love month because it's Black History Month. So let's spread our love. One thing that's important, the day after, starting the 15th, we will be on winter break. I want to remind everybody to be safe. We are still in a global pandemic. And while our COVID numbers are trending down, be reminded that our numbers traditionally rise after we have these breaks.
Yeah.
So I want to make sure that we are reminded to be responsible and be safe, please, because we want to be able to enjoy school and not have it interrupted because of quarantine and things of that nature, as we have experienced. So let's move to what I'm calling our shout out segment. We want to just give some shout outs, things that are happening around our county. The first one, LGE, we thank you for coming and supporting the schools here in Post 3 with $50,000. Pebblebrook High School received a check for $25,000. Dr. Dana Giles was happy to receive. And TJ Perry over at South Cobb High School was happy to receive $25,000 to help support our schools. I believe TJ says that the donation will allow them to purchase a new school board for our softball team. And I'm excited about that because, hey, listen, I talked with Ms. Fry. She's a coach over there, Angela. She's a good friend of mine, and we were talking about that and how we can get that done. So I'm glad that we have something available here that will help us with making sure South Cobb High School has some of the things that they need. I want to talk about this because this kind of is Black history all at the same time, but it's just big and inspirational to me. For those of you that know Amanda Gorman, she spoke at the inauguration of President Biden, and she did a speech called The Hill We Climb. And it was very inspirational, and it got Dr. Howard going. And so he decided to have a literary initiative. And as a result of that, over 300 students across Cobb and North Fulton put together some literary work in response to The Hill We Climb. And I'm gonna tell you something, that work was really, 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 really good. I had the privilege of looking at a lot of it and help narrowing it down. Ms. Davis did as well. And he had 3 winners. And so you will see from him on his Facebook platform the winners and, all the different things that I think they get some money or whatever. But I want to formally recognize Dr. Howard for that work, as well as those 3 winners. And so it was awesome. The 3rd grader, I want to talk about her for a minute. When I read hers, I was blown away. I can't go into it just yet, but I was blown away by the expression of a 3rd grader and how she expressed some things in her literary piece. And so hopefully we'll be able to share that with you shortly. All right. Everybody knows I love Dr. Dana Giles at Pebblebrook High School. But she is having our annual You Go Girl annual conference. And this is just one of those conferences where they are supporting our young women, their social emotional health. And so she has a lot of great speakers at this particular conference. It will take place the end of this month. But those of you that may know Rashana Ali, she is a multimedia specialist. So many of you may have seen her on the radio and TV and different things. She's going to be the opening kickoff speaker. This is really interesting. We have the national president and CEO of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated as our closing keynote speaker, Ms. Beverly Smith. And so when I saw that, I was like, wow. Some of our session speakers is, of course, one of my favorites, Dr. Tamika Klein over at Bryant Elementary, Tracy Doe in our district office, Ms. Sherry Hill in our district office, and several others. One person in particular I want to talk about is Margaret Morris. You see her down at the bottom. She is an actress and a CCC EPA alumni. We actually went to school together. We were in company together for many, many, many years. And I call her Meg. Meg is a joy, not just to me. Meg is a joy to the world. Her life after performing and still performing, but as far as her humanitarian work and how she wants to support families, I'm overwhelmed because these are the people that I grew up with and helped to bring me to where I am today, and to see them doing similar things, it just makes me feel well. I credit a lot of that to Mr. Earl Reese. Thank you. I received your card, Mr. Earl Reese, at the district office. Thank you. He has been a blessing to many of us who come through the Cobb County Center for Excellence in the Performing Arts. So Meg will be a part of that. As a moderator, we have like Christian Suttle and some other people that will also support that. He's a girl dad, and so he's going to talk from that aspect of it. But I put the link here. It's a tiny URL, but You Go Girl. So UGG 2021 is it. So it's kind of easy so that you can register for the conference and that you can also get information in regards to it. So I think that it'll be something good. It's always great. Last year was phenomenal, but this year's virtual. And there's something for the guys coming up soon. So, Dr. G loves everybody. So I want to make sure that we put that out there. But yeah, there's a Hispanic portion of it. For our Hispanic families as well, as specifically just for them. She thinks of everybody. She's very inclusive in her love. And so, I want to make sure that we support that. Also, another person that's pretty special to me, and I like when I see them doing things. This is a big one for me. The Cobb Student Leadership Academy is back. And so one of the founders of this is Samika Samuels. Samika Samuels and I met in college many, not me, I'm not gonna go there. It wasn't that long ago. We met in college. Yeah. I'm not putting you out there, Samika. And she came up with this. This was like one of those Cobb Cobb Tank Awards. And it has grown tremendously since then. But this one here is for our middle school and high school students. And it's the student leadership portion for Cobb Student Leadership Academy. And it will take place on Wednesdays for the rest of this semester. But shout out to Samika Samuels, Ms. Holly Sprayberry, Ms. Trudy Delhay with the district office, our social studies department with the district office. I have been a part of this probably since the beginning. And so I'm telling you, I have always enjoyed interacting with our students and seeing their leadership displayed and seeing them grow as leaders. Again, we talked about our student leaders who are coming to the board and speaking. This is all a part of building leaders who will serve our community in the future. And so I appreciate Samika and the love that she puts into this. Oh, if you notice the application, February 1st, the application process ends February 19th. So that's the end of the winter break. Make sure that you have your applications in, so that you can be a part of that. www.cobbstudentleadershipacademy.com. Please register. I have a sixth grader who just put in his application, and so we were going to be a part of that, and so hopefully he's selected, Samika, and no pressure, but so that's
my son actually did it
yeah.
when it was in person, and he went kicking and screaming. It was like, one more thing mom's making me do. And he likes basketball, he likes food, and that's about it. And then like by the end of it, he was just like, that was good. And I mean, that's everything, right? To get that was good meant that it was like this life-changing thing. So, shout out to everyone involved in that, and to Ms. Samuels for a program that even my son could enjoy and appreciate. So thank you.
Listen, these young men at that age, if you can get, that was good. That means it was life changing. They just they're not going to give you all of that, but that's what it means. And so we appreciate
that.
Yeah. We appreciate you, Ms. Samuels, and your vision. And so you already know I love you. All right, this is really big, y'all. Graduation schedules were released. I see that Pebblebrook High School will be Friday, May 28th at 7 p.m. And South Cobb High School, these are post 3 schools, will be Wednesday, June 2nd at 9 a.m. And if you notice the time frame, early morning, late evening, or late afternoon, because the sun will be out and we do not want any issues. So we want to make sure we have it during some of the safe times of the year. And it will be held at Cantrell Stadium at McEachern High School, where we did it last year. And so, plenty of room to social distance and, still have an excellent experience. Our district did a great job of putting that together, the stage and everything. It was beautiful. And so I'm glad we're able to have this alternative during this time frame. Sharice, where are you at?
So actually, I have a new high school in District 6. So I'm sorry I didn't mention it earlier. So Cobb Horizon. So we've got the 24th, and Walton on the 28th, and then Wheeler on the 29th. So there's my weekend. I do think people should know. So I think we got some questions about, why this school, and obviously, as you mentioned, it is the largest stadium that we have this was a former college campus. Is that correct?
That's right. Yes.
And so it's the largest stadium that we have, and it allows us the optimal amount of social distancing because, of course, we'll still be dealing with the pandemic this summer. So I know it might be a little bit of a drive for some, but it's graduation, and the production is awesome. They do a very, very good job, and it's graduation.
Well, this will be yes. Well, this will be my first graduation as a board member, so I am superly over excited to certify diplomas, and I can't wait to share with you guys in the summer or spring. And until then, you continue to work hard. And I'll see you in May and June, and so will Sharice. So, let's see what we got next, because Lord Jesus, our time. Here we go. This is big. Over at Garrett Middle School, y'all are doing your thing over there.
Yes.
Principal Christy Brown, you are making an impact into the lives of our young children in middle school. And those of you that are familiar with Garrett Middle School, you know why I am all over this and why I believe that Christy is doing an excellent job. She's being supported by John Wuso, who is a Pebblebrook High School alumni. So we're talking about people who, again, grew up in South Cobb, giving back and helping to build our community. So we thank you, John. Ms. Denise Hood is over there. I think Rhonda Yearwood is over there, and they are really doing a lot. So what they just recently had was what we call JOF, Jobs and Opportunities Fair. And so they partnered with a lot of people on this particular thing. It was so that our students were aware of career opportunities, and the age that they were supporting was ages 11 to 14, 15 to 17, and helping them to understand how important it is to start thinking about career and what you want to do and what you want to be in life. And then we also had something with our parents. So we were supporting the entire child and the entire family. And they had a lot of sponsors. Communities and Schools is a big sponsor. Shout out to Mr. T over there, who is he's the site coordinator for Communities and Schools, Cobb Marietta chapter, and he is really out there doing it. The kids love him. He's doing a bang up job. Shout out to Natalie Rutledge, who is the executive director of Communities and Schools. We appreciate you guys WorkSource Georgia was there, because we're talking about tuition-free education training for adults. And the Construction Ready program, the Construction Education Foundation of Georgia, they were there to support that. But Sharice and I had the opportunity to participate in, I guess they would call it like the snaps. They were giving Snapchats. You like that? It was you see Snapchat, you get it. But and it was like brief conversations on leadership. And so I was excited to open up the session. And I think my targeted conversation was around collaborating for positive change. Okay. And so yeah, the Snapchats were wonderful. Sharice, you participated in Snapchats, right?
I did. It was incredible because for me, I was sharing the idea of like public office and how we need to run for office. We also need to support others that are running for office and just being engaged in the process, but making sure our young people know that these are spaces that they should be a part of. Definitely. Yes.
So again, John Uso, thank you. Listen, you are you're a visionary, and so we appreciate all that you're doing and what you're bringing to the Garrett Middle School community, and so we appreciate you. Moving back to Pebblebrook High School, and I'm biased, y'all, so y'all have to pray for me that I get some balance in my life. I love South Cobb High School too. I love both of y'all, but there's, I don't know, y'all. I need balance, so we're working on it. Congrats to the 917 honor roll students at Pebblebrook High School. Y'all don't know how big that is. In a virtual environment, students are thriving in the Pebblebrook area, and they're thriving all over the county. But I want to make sure that I'm highlighting Pebblebrook High School. When Dr. G and I are talking about changing the narrative, this is what we're talking about. 917 students, honor roll students. So let me explain how big it is. There's only 2,500 students in the campus. We're talking about just a little less than half of the student population are honor roll students. And so Dr. G, she don't do anything small. She had a, we love it. She had an honor roll parade where parents were able to drive onto the campus and to be celebrated. They picked up certificates. And if you see those little blue and white honor roll, they're like book bag tags. You tie them to the back of your book bag. And it was an excellent experience. I pulled up because I was coming to help support, of course. And I almost couldn't get to the event because when I pulled onto Old Alabama Road, and I live literally in the backyard of Pebblebrook High School, I went around the corner and could not get to the school because cars were lined up all the way down Old Alabama Road into the major intersection of Mapleton Parkway down by the CVS, for those of you that are familiar with the area. Trey, because she had a parade. Yes.
Yeah, you need to walk to that.
Yeah, and I should have walked. It just would have made sense, right? But I thank the student body for their academic excellence and their performance during this time. It was a blessing to see. Rhonda Shepard, she's on here. Her son, listen, he was in the number, and so when I see stuff like that, I was excited to see that that overwhelming response from the community. And of course, on the main marquee, if you don't know anything else, just remember that Dr. G loves you. So that was an awesome parade experience at Pebblebrook High School. Speaking of the community, because we got to move fast, Mapleton Improvement Coalition, they wrote a letter to the Cobb County School District Board of Education. And so you can find that, the Cobb County Courier on Facebook. You can Google it. And they actually wanted to address the board in regards to some of the things that they felt were important as community leaders and a community organization. So shout out to Joel Culp, Ray Thomas, Nate Smith, who's on the line as well. And I think we have a membership meeting next week. So those of you that are here in the Mapleton area and are members of the Mapleton Improvement Coalition, make sure you get your membership in and join the meeting next week. And again, thank you, Mick, for your continual engagement and support of our community schools. It is appreciated. And let's see what else we got. I gotta move quick, guys. Okay, so this is for the alumni, Pebblebrook High School alumni. If we're calling all music artists, because you know how we do at the Brook. If you rap, sing, write music, or you produce music, and you graduated from Pebblebrook High School, if you can answer yes to those two questions, make sure you email me at trey4cobbschools@gmail.com. We got work that we getting ready to do. We're about to put in some work. So please contact me because we want to. We have something that we need to say as an alumni group, as those that come through Pebblebrook, and and I will say this: many people have tried to tell our story, but this is an opportunity for us to tell our own story, and we're going to do it the best way we know how through music. We got many artists that have come through Pebblebrook, Lil Yachty and basketball stars, Colin, and all of them. But again, there's a lot of us that are still here, and we have something we want to say. And so please reach out. Shout out to Pastor Alvin James Freeman, Eric Coleman, Alvin McRae. You guys know who you are. We got work to do in regards to that. So, Sharice, we're winding down. We're winding down. It was a lot, y'all. So, call to action. As we said earlier, get engaged. The best way to get engaged is to email, text, call, social media, speak at the board meeting. Sharice gave us how we can be successful even in that forum. Take some time out and get involved. When you email us, don't just email me. And I appreciate all the emails. I read them and I appreciate it. Yeah. Email the entire board. Now, when you do that, and the superintendent, not saying that we're going to always respond, because I'm going to tell you something. I can't respond to 100 emails a day. I can't do it. But if you specifically say, please respond to me, then I am going to make sure that I reply back to that email. But most of the emails are just informational so that I'm hearing from constituents. But if you request that we respond back, Sharice and I and several other board members, we do make sure that we do that. We're going to always respond back very openly, honestly, and respectful. So please make sure you do that as well. You want to give anything as far as that is concerned on how to best engage?
No, I think that's the best tip of all, is just to include everyone and make sure you include the superintendent, and just keep it respectful, but let us know what's going on.
Yes,
and the respectful part is like, if you start cursing and all that, which sometimes we get, is just kind of like nobody's really.
Yeah, we can say that. Hey, get involved with your students. Listen to your students. Find out what's important to them, because they're advocates all in themselves, and they have a lot that they want to say. And help them through that process. Help them to be successful in that, and to grow to be our future leaders. I will say that's probably one of the big things. Find out what's important to them and what they're advocating for. And sometimes we're not going to always agree with our children. Our children tend to be more progressive than we are. I'm going to leave that there, but embrace it. Hear them out. Don't shut them down. Listen to what they're saying, because in their schools, they're getting a different perspective in life. And so, and they're looking at things differently because they have other influences, such as social media, their friends, and everything else that the world is throwing at us that we don't really focus on. So please listen to your children, see what has their attention, and help support them through that. And so I think that's a big way. I have a monthly newsletter that I have put out. If you go to my website, treyforcobbschools.com, you can sign up for our monthly newsletter. The monthly newsletter is called South Cobb Rising. And some of you may be already in that Facebook group or whatever. But this is where you can sign up for that monthly newsletter. Also, starting tomorrow, you'll be able to sign up to be part of the Parent Advisory Council. We already have a Pebblebrook Cluster Council, and those leaders, you know who you are, and we're going to actually come back to the table, because we have a lot of things coming up in regards to the SPLOST 6 notebook, and then addressing the principal advisory councils and how to get engaged in that. So we need some training and some support on how we're going to move forward. But also my South Cobb High School cluster family members, we need to get engaged, and also my Powder Springs cluster council. We're going to create those two entities so that we can get you guys engaged and to the table. So go to my website, or you can just email me. Email me at trey4cobbschools and include your email address, and I will make sure that I plug you in. And if you are interested in being a part of any one of these parent advisory councils, based on where you live and where your school schools are at, because you may live in a different part, but you go to school in one of these three clusters, please reach out to treyforcobbschools@gmail.com. And I know, Sharice, you have a newsletter. Please.
I do.
Okay.
Yeah, forgive me, because sometimes every month becomes 2 months at a time.
Yeah.
I'm doing my best. But on my website, so Davis for Cobb, FOR Cobb.com, you can sign up to just get the alerts. And most of the time it ends up on the Facebook page. But a lot of the information is the same. But you can also sometimes I occasionally meet people who are not on Facebook. Imagine that. And I have a lot of respect for them. But if you're not on Facebook and you still kind of want to get the live updates from that is also on my website. So you don't have to log into Facebook to even see what I'm posting there, which is a lot of the information I post will be on Facebook. So that's a workaround. But Davis4Cobb.com.
Someone said, Miss Harris, I got you. We working on it. I said that's why I said tomorrow. But we're working on it. Hey, listen, guys, y'all know I had to rush through this, right? Because I have a lot to say and I talk too much. But thank you for joining us. Everybody, please go into the chats right now and let Sharice know how much you appreciated her today. I want to personally thank my co-host, Miss Sharice Davis, our Post-6 Board of Education member for the Cobb County School District, for joining us today. Sharice, any last words, anything you want to share with the people?
I just want to thank you, Trey, because I've been watching, but now I've been on the show. I can check that out there. But I thank you. This was fun. You are so in tune with the community, and I'm just so happy to have you as a colleague on the board. So thank you for having me. And let's keep working, y'all.
Yes. So as promised, we're going to try and have people on as much as possible, because I know you guys get tired of just hearing me, and it is what it is, but they hear from me all the time. Thank you, Rhonda. Miss Rhonda says, thank you, Miss Davis. We support you. Miss Larissa, listen, Larissa, we love you. We love you. Miss Rhonda, we love you. These are, okay, so Larissa and Rhonda are like the backbone of the Mighty Marching at Pebble Brook High School. Like, the band doesn't function without them two leaders. So we thank you for your service to our community as always. Trevor, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Yes, I just emailed you, but I think you got it. We have work to do.
Yeah.
And so we want to take this moment to say thank you to everybody. We appreciate you. We're going to end, but usually, I have an outro and all that kind of stuff. But what I think is best, because again, it's Black History Month. And proud to the people, we're going to end this by playing our Kurt Franklin, Lift Every Voice again. And after that, we're going to be out. We love y'all. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sharice. We'll talk soon. Bye-bye.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky. Let it resound. Let it resound. Loud as the rolling sea. I like this part right here. Come on. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of a new day begun. Let us march on till victory is won. Yeah, we add a little something to it. Just to encourage you. We're going to take you to church later. Let's go! We'll keep marching right until the victory is won. To all my brothers out there. Hold your head up, brothers, till the victory is won. To all my sisters in the struggle. Keep believing, sisters, till the victory is won. Until that day.